On tonight's Thronecast, a fight for the body of a hero. Is carnage coming to King's Landing?
Fuck everyone who isn't us.
And a Khaleesi captured, but is name-dropping Drogo a bad idea? On the sofa tonight, we have the royal who wanted Dany dead, Mark Addy, a.k.a. King Robert Baratheon.
An inspiring sight.
Your watch begins. Thronecast. Well, I have to say, that was the longest 9 months of my life. Apart from that time where I thought I was pregnant. Turns out it was just sponge. I'm not an expert. Game of Thrones is finally back. And we're going to be here every week to analyse each spear to the face, every bereaved direwolf, and every time Brienne drops to her knees and pledges undying allegiance to someone. And not a moment too soon is it back. I've had to get my slaughtering, prostitution and incest elsewhere. Thank God for Saturday Kitchen. Joining me on the sofa is a man smoother than a Dothraki's chest. It's Jonathan Ross. Now, you are the sexiest quick fit fitter I've seen in a long time. Look at that. You've just seen the episode, haven't you?
Just seen it. Love it. It's so great that it's back, though. And it's like when you've been away on holiday and suddenly you're home again. And, you know, you're welcome back in Westeros where we want to be. I've been dying for it. And it's been great. It's a great first episode.
Yeah.
I love the moment, Brienne. That was a wonderful moment. Oh. Finally, she's got someone to care for.
I know. And she's truly in the fold.
Yes, she's there. She's in the fold. And Theon, he's coming into himself, so to speak. I suppose that's all he can manage these days. But you know what I mean? He's blossoming, is what I meant to say. That was one of the most anatomically
correct jokes I've ever heard.
Actually, I even upset myself.
No,
that's how horrible that was. I didn't mean that.
Bad image. Yeah. Make sure you at home join in the discussion as well. All are welcome. Send us your thoughts, hopes, dreams, and particularly your fan art to us. Hashtagging everything with GOT Atlantic. Time now for Jonathan to be joined on the sofa of dreams by a man whose hobbies are drinking, whoring and hunting. Sorry, I've read that's Jonathan's intro. Sorry. I'm actually talking about Robert Baratheon himself. It's Mr. Mark Addy.
Yeah. The king is back.
The king has returned.
Yes.
You have been sorely missed, sir.
Well, good.
I'm disappointed you got your shirt done up. I want to see some of that belly.
Oh, it'll be out later, don't worry.
Oh, that is a promise. Now, as the man who ruled from the very, very beginning, how do you feel that things are turning out in King's Landing?
Well, I mean, I know Robert wasn't the best king, but...
He was the most fun.
Best king so far.
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Well, he kept order. I think we begin to realise how hard it must be. At the time, we all thought, oh, he's just a bit of a wastrel, but he seemed to keep things under control.
Yeah, I think I mean, from Robert's point of view, it was the winning of the getting rid of the tyrants was the important thing. And when he's stuck in the small council dealing about a bit of a noise issue in the... in this
planning applications.
Yeah, all that sort of stuff is not really what he was... keen on.
Yeah.
So, well, it wasn't the bed of roses that he...
I think he got plenty of what he was keen on, though, didn't he?
He did get... he did all right. Yeah.
Did do all right, didn't he?
Fair
Although,
enough.
what a poor end for a man who lived life to the full, to be gored by a wild boar and slowly fade away.
That sounds like quite a good ending to me. It sounds like quite a fun way to go out.
There are many critics who'd wish that on us. Many. But things are different. I mean, we've got the Tyrells in a weak position, haven't we, Jonathan? We've got Marjorie and Choki.
Yeah.
Diana Rigg, I think, is in Panto. And we've got the ascendant Tommen on the throne, and also Cersei, who's got Mountain at her disposal.
Do you remember there used to be a kid called Bran? What happened to that kid called Bran? I know what happened to him. He's like about 13 now. I think he was trying to grow a goatee, and you know when you're that age, it's embarrassing because he doesn't fill in. He went off to hide in the woods until he can come back like a fully-fledged hipster. With a beard, he'll have some retro vinyl under one arm, a striped T-shirt. I haven't seen Bran for years. I'm hoping we get to see a bit of Bran action.
I saw when they... I was lucky enough to see the preview of the last season, and I didn't realise there was a very handsome young man sitting there. It was Bran. Wow. And he watched it, and he wasn't in it, but he sat there and watched the whole thing. I'm hopeful for Bran.
Bran will be back, I'm sure.
I believe. Bran always... You always return with Bran.
Always comes back.
Are the Lannisters, do you think, impenetrably strong now? Do you think anyone can knock them off their perch?
I don't think they're impenetrably strong. I think they're not very pleasant.
No, that's for sure.
But
you would say that.
Yeah, but I'm biased. But I think it's interesting seeing Cersei's journey, because it's not necessarily what you'd expect. I mean, it's the beauty of George Martin's writing, as well as the job that David and Dan do on this, that you find yourself feeling sorry for people like Jamie, and how have they managed to find a hideous character like that? Find some kind of quality in him that's appealing.
Well, you've got beef with him, and I don't know if it's the right time to mention that Cersei's... They're not your children. I didn't know how to say it. They're just...
Either you were shooting blanks or she was running out the bedroom straight after and doing something, because you didn't have any kids from the... I thought maybe Tommen might be yours, but no.
No, none of them. No, I think there were... I may be wrong, but I'm sure I read in one of the books that she admitted to any child that was Robert's, she got rid of.
Wow.
So there were...
a bit of a down on a show like this.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
So
all textures are welcome, but that's a hard one to play with.
Keep it light.
Yeah, exactly.
there were occasions when they did sleep together,
and things might have happened.
And yes.
Yeah, but she made sure that...
I don't think the Lannisters were in a strong position at all, though, because they've got the threat from the nutjob religious order. You've got the Sparrows rising up on one side. OK, she's got Tommen on the phone, but we know that if Marjorie does get out, and I suspect she will, she'll probably be able to wrap him around her finger, which will lead her away.
The Mountain.
The Mountain.
Come on. Surely a secret weapons go. That's an exocet in the pocket.
I cannot wait to see the Mountain let loose.
I don't want to spoil it, but my feeling is that there will be several nuns on the run once the Mountain is moved. But we had it. You talk about the writing and the complexity of, there's no such thing as a panto villain in Game of Thrones. There's always depth to them. Cersei actually said about Marcella, who died, she said, I thought if I could make something so good, so pure, maybe I'm not a monster. That was a wonderful moment. Is she becoming more self-aware, do you think, Jonathan?
I don't know whether she is yet. I suspect she might, because on the one hand she's saying that, on the other hand she was the one sitting by while Joffrey did whatever he wanted and sort of going, my little boy, he's a bit of a rascal. So I don't think really... I think she will eventually... Because at the moment I think what she's actually doing is coming to believe that she's doomed rather than becoming any sort of a better person. I don't think there's any growth going on there. I think she's just thinking, this prophecy is coming true and I'm doomed. And I suspect what may well happen is that she might well get to a point where she either realises that this path of vengeance she's on is just leading to more pain and more upset, or whether she will, actually learn to love someone without there being anything on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're absolutely right about the prophecy. She's got Maggie the Frog's words just reverberating in her head, and it's a different kind of Cersei in episode 1, I'm thinking. Talking of the children that were not, and those that were between Cersei and Jamie, a couple of kings since good Robert passed away. Who do you think's the better king, Mark? Joffrey, the unfettered psychopath, or Tommen, who is, frankly, wetter than Justin Bieber at a water park?
It is a tricky one. I suppose at least with Joffrey, you knew what you were likely to get, or the possibilities of what you were likely to get were so appalling that, you knew where you stood. But a kind of a puppet king... It's tricky. I would say they're equally as bad.
Yeah. How about you? What do you
Well,
reckon?
let's imagine they're Prince William and Prince Harry, right? So we've got...
This is not a safe tack.
Because they're not like that, obviously. But Joffrey, I kind of miss Joffrey because he was so awful and such a horrible human being, and it was so easy to feel like, you're right, there's such complexity in this show that there are very few people that you do dislike and you stay that way.
Yeah.
And Joffrey, we did feel that way about him. And the only time when there was a kind of chink in his armour was when you realised that he almost was aware of his own cowardice when King's Landing was under siege and Tyrion stepped up. I think Joffrey, obviously no one wanted to see Joffrey on the sun, but I think Tommen hasn't really proved anything yet, but he hasn't had the chance to, so who knows?
Hasn't.
He's still really, he's kind of a baby.
Well, let's see what the audience think. You've handily got cards to show us. Which king is better, Joffrey or Tommen? Let's have a quick straw poll. Oh, ooh. It looks like the majority are going with Tommen. Well, congratulations. I think Tommen, as you say, all to play for.
And all the people who've gone for Joffrey, we know where you live and we're going to keep an eye on you. We're now on a register, OK?
So you're probably wondering where many other of your favourite characters have got to. You've mentioned Bran there, obviously, Jonathan, but you're in luck because we have a man of chiselled hair and long flowing jaw who's going to tell us where everyone's got to. Jamie East.
So we start off exactly where we left last season in Castle Black, where Jon Snow's lifeless body lies. Davos and Melisandre are also back at the Wall after the defeat of Stannis' army and his death at the hands of Brienne. Sansa and Theon have survived the Bolton's hounds' hunt for them and are now somewhere on the outskirts of Winterfell with their saviours Brienne and Pod. Roose and Ramsay remain in Winterfell deliberating their next move. Over in King's Landing, Jaime is reunited with Cersei to is flanked by the Undead Mountain. King Tommen remains in the Red Keep, unlike his wife Marjorie, who's still imprisoned at the Great Sept of Baelor alongside her brother Loras. Two of the Sand Snakes, Nym and Obara, who have just killed the Fresh Prince of Dorne Trystane Martell, are also in King's Landing. All the way south in Dorne, their mother Ellaria and sister Tyene have been busy killing Doran and Arya. Across the narrow sea to Essos, Arya is still in Braavos, now blind as a punishment for murdering Meryn Trant. Over to Meereen now, where Tyrion and Varys are left to rule in Daenerys' absence. Meanwhile, Dany is somewhere in the Dothraki Sea, where her captors want to banish her to Dosh Khaleen in Vase Dothrak. Jorah and Daario are also in the area in pursuit of their beloved queen.
Right, let's whip through a few folk there. Roose not happy with Ramsay at all. Do you think his tomfoolery, I use that word lightly, has weakened their position, Jonathan?
I think it clearly has weakened their position. And if they can't get Sansa back, he's right, then they've lost a valuable source of alliance there because they need the North behind them. But I don't think we've heard anything near the last of him yet. But it was lovely, wasn't it lovely? The moment Brienne actually found Sansa, that was joyful, I thought. So that would be exciting to see what's going to happen next there. Sand
Snakes as well, Mark. You found that doing a lot of high-level killing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you know, it's tough to predict where any storyline is going to go.
Well, they've set their stall out there with the classic spear through the nostril.
Straight through their brother as well. Not even, and they're enjoying it.
Oh, they love it.
Oh, yeah.
And they're not playing by Marquess of Queensberry rules there.
No.
And Arya, most importantly, perhaps out of that lot, blinded and being hassled by the waif. Do we think that is part of the training for the House of Black and White?
I think it has to be.
Yeah, she's turning into Daredevil. She'll be able to do everything without eyes. That's what she is. But that's a great storyline. That's great because, once again, though, it's interesting because she's on that path of vengeance and she has, if you'll forgive me, been blinded by her need for vengeance, in a way. So I suspect that the part of the thing that she's having to learn is not just how she does what she's going to do, but also to maybe step away from that kind of immediate retribution.
To learn the process of vengeance with that immediate knee-jerk thing. Meanwhile, Big Sis Sansa, a big part of this episode, and Theon rescued, as you say. What do you think's going to happen to these two? Do you think they'll make it north?
I would like them to. Knowing Game of Thrones, as we all do, I suspect they won't. Well, certainly not for several episodes.
They are, at least we know their intentions, to head north and to go to Castle Black. And obviously time now to talk about Jon Snow, dearly departed. the meat, I think, of this episode, or everyone very much, anticipating what's going to happen. Theon told Sansa that Jon Snow's Lord Commander of the Wall. She doesn't know, of course, that he's passed away, and they haven't been under the same roof since Series 1. And what she's going to discover is that he obviously has been... the traitors have had at him.
Yeah, but let's face it, we all know. How many people think he's not coming back? There you go. I think we all know.
One lone woman.
What, have you not seen the show before? Is that what and that's going to be a great moment. And no one knows how or when or exactly why, but he's... And you've got Melisandre, she puts that... please put the bracelet necklace thing back on as soon as possible.
You like the costume. You'd like a woman in costume jewellery, don't you?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'll take what I can get at my age, but I know that the power lies with that, and she needs to look a certain way. So once she's back in the saddle, so to speak, I think she'll be able to do her magic on him.
Yes.
And I suspect we will see him risen, and he will be, But he was the only one showing any kind of circumspection. He was the only one who was like, OK, I'm not just going to act out of what my knee-jerk reaction to something is.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and move things forward. He's kind of truce with the Wildings. He's actually being kind of gentle with the Night Watch, really, which didn't get him very far, but I think that will in the long run.
I think he was acting out of, I think he was looking to protect the North from...
but he's also showing signs of real leadership, isn't he? Because he's saying, this is what we all need.
But in the Game of Thrones, people who play the politics do well. Littlefinger, Varys. And actually, as you say, Jon Snow was playing the political angle very well by being, you know, forward-sighted enough to go, let's merge with the Wildings. Let's look at Davos, actually, briefly. Davos obviously has... he's leading Team Dead Snowy, as I like to call it. And there's a lot of loyalty there. They're holed up in a room. There's no snacks to speak of, which worries me.
Yeah.
That rugged snow face is not going to last forever. What are his options now?
Well, they've set it up that one's gone off to get the Wildings. Oh. So if the Wildings come back, that's going to be great. And you've got Melisandre, who's currently taking the beauty rest, once she's back on form. So they've got 2 possible options in that room. And don't forget, they have got a direwolf with them, you know?
Yes, although can a direwolf take out 40 men? I don't know. It'll be an ask.
Yeah, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, either way, it'll be interesting.
Although if that dog gets it, I think you're probably with me on this, Jonathan. That's me with the
If the dog gets it, I'm out of this show forever.
I'm done.
If this dog gets it, HBO are going to get a letter from me.
Yeah. It doesn't matter to me.
And there'll be something in that letter.
Yeah.
And that will have come out of me.
Good to know.
Out of my bum, OK? Yeah. Is that clear enough for you?
I think we've got that recorded.
Thank you.
So if anyone from HBO receives a pound of brown in the post, they'll know where it's come from. Davos, Melisandre might be able to help. You've already said, Jonathan, you think that she's going to work some magic.
Well, I think a lot of people speculate that early on because we have seen what she can do. And she's done that in the past, but who knows? They may well double bluff us there, I think. Maybe.
But it's only Thoros of Myr that's been able to actually resurrect. All we've seen her do, I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Is what we've seen her do is
the Black Ghost baby.
Yeah, shadow baby.
Yeah.
You know. So we don't know that she has that power. Do you think she's got that power, Mark?
Tricky. It's so tricky to say. But I would say Game of Thrones is really the only show where the fact that, well, perhaps apart from The Walking Dead, the fact that you're dead doesn't necessarily mean you're out of the picture. Yeah. You're out of the equation.
Interesting is, this is the thing which people haven't been talking about much. Remember when they were having the big fight with the White Walkers?
Yeah.
And there was a moment when one of them looked at Jon Snow and there was a moment of recognition, awareness, that there was something different about him. So who knows, maybe he's got some connection to them that we don't know about. Maybe already he has got some powers that are going to bring him back without the need of Melisandre, because there wasn't there? There was that moment where it was like, hold on, you can do this, you're not a regular human being.
Well, he has the sword of Valyrian steel. There's also the rumbling debate about his parentage and what that might bring to the part, what his genetic material might
Wasn't you, though, was it?
Who knows?
Never use it. I
Surely.
feel for you, my darling. Melisandre showed just how powerful a bit of statement jewellery is tonight. I mean, other than the fact it was a great way to end, what do we think's happening? Do we assume this happens every night? Do we think she's immortal?
Well, we all want to get comfy before bed, don't we? I mean,
that's how I look when I bed down.
You've got to take your heels off and you've got to undo the corset.
Take the moisturiser off.
I don't think she's immortal, but I think this is the classic idea of the witch, you know, the witch that can present whatever image she needs to the world, which is what, you know, lures people in as a seductress as much as anything else. So I suspect what we're seeing there is her true form, and I think she's just very, very old.
You just think she's very, very old?
Very old.
But with extremely good high SPF factor.
Extremely good jewellery.
Face cream. Yeah, really good jewellery. She has made several mistakes, though. I mean, quite high-level mistakes. She believed that Stannis was the chosen one, that Stannis should sacrifice his child.
Yeah.
Now she's seen the fact that the Lord of Light has let her down, do you think she's going to lose faith?
Well, if she gave me a tip for the Grand National, I wouldn't put any money on it anymore, for sure, because I don't think she knows how to read things as well as she thinks. But maybe there weren't mistakes. Maybe that was part of the inevitable thing to lead her where she is today. Who knows? Maybe there were forces at work outside of it. But I think she is maybe... What's interesting and what's fascinating is when you see people have this unshakable faith. And I think we'll see it with the High Sparrow as well, who have this unshakable belief that they are right, and then they see that maybe they weren't as right as they thought, i.e. not right at all. That's a fascinating journey to watch people go on.
So you're saying that pain can lead to personal development. You are going to make a great therapist, my friend. Should you ever tend down that path?
I want to be your life coach.
That may well happen. It's time for a break now, but don't go anywhere, because we're going to be talking about this lady in a few minutes. I don't know if anyone's seen her. Her admirers and dragons are worried. If you do see her, she should answer to Daenerys Stormborn of the House Targaryen, first of her name, the unburnt Queen of Meereen, Queen of the Andals and Rhoynar and the First Men, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea, Breaker of Chains and the Mother of Dragons. Or Shaz. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Thronecast. If you've just joined us, shame. You've missed Jonathan Ross deep kissing Mark Addy, whilst I looked on and made a trouser suit out of some old tears I had left over from Series 5. So, tonight we saw that Daenerys is in the hands of the Dothraki. So slightly arouse me and spear me through the back of the head if Jamie East doesn't have something to say about that. Thunk.
The Dothraki are a clan of nomadic horse-mounted warriors from Essos, a continent to the east of Westeros across the Narrow Sea. The clan roam the vast lands of Essos in hordes known as Khalasars, pillaging nearby regions for food and supplies, whilst capturing people to sell as slaves. The only city in the Dothraki region is Vaes Dothrak, where Khalasars gather solely to trade. The entrance to the city is marked by 2 gigantic bronze stallions. The Dothraki, which translates to riders, are highly skilled horsemen. They're said to be born, fight and also die in the saddle. Their horses are of prime importance to them, going so far as worshipping a deity known as the Great Stallion. The Dothraki have their own language, which Daenerys had to learn to communicate with her husband. Dothraki warriors are known for their distinct look. They wear their hair in a long braid, which is only cut when they're defeated, so that the clan can see their shame.
Khal Drogo has never been defeated.
Warriors fight with a curved sword known as an arak, as well as daggers, bows and arrows and whips. They choose not to wear armour as they consider it cowardly and don't want to be slowed down in battle. Dothraki men often decorate themselves and their horses with paint, and Khalasars often differentiate themselves by using different colours. For example, Khal Drogo's Khalasar used blue paint. As pigment was expensive, the Dothraki usually reserved it for special occasions such as weddings and ceremonies. After Daenerys married Khal Drogo, she started wearing more blue in honour of him. The Dosh Khaleen are an important part of Dothraki culture. They're a ruling subgroup comprised of widows of slain Khals, which literally means Council of Crows. It was the Dosh Khaleen that orchestrated Daenerys' gut-wrenching pregnancy ceremony, where she was forced to eat an entire horse's heart, a superstitious ritual they believe will make the unborn child strong. Can Daenerys convince the Dothraki to set her free and back her bid for the throne, or will Jorah be forced to deploy a rescue mission to save the Mother of Dragons?
A horse's heart, that's nothing. I once had to eat 138 celebratory cheesecakes. Did it without moaning, I have to say. Daenerys, always an interesting story arc with Daenerys.
Yeah.
But it seems to me, Jonathan, she is right back where she started. She's lost her dragons, she's lost her advisors. How can she return from this?
Maybe it's even worse than when she started, because she knows what she had, but she's lost it all and she knows what's going on out there. Although, I mean, I like the sound of this kind of, like, town full of widows. I live near Golders Green, and that's kind of what that is like, anyway. A lot of crafts in the evening, lots of terrarium building going on. But I suspect because they are a powerful group and they are not to be overlooked, I think she'll find a way back in via them, because they can actually, I think they pull a lot of the strings behind what's going on. The men are kind of more, we see more creatures of kind of like, you know, instinct and appetite. And I think the brains, maybe, that we'll find that the widows are really where it's at. So I think that will be what seems like being sidelined is perhaps going to be put right in the heart of the action, and she'll find her way back from there. I think they'll listen to her.
So it's a different type of power, because she's used to inhabiting male versions of power, isn't she? And being the all-commanding one.
As soon as, because one dragon's out and 2 are locked up, is that right? Well, as soon as they all get out, we know it's game over, because that's the nuclear option right there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That is Exocet, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also those dragons who have been like children and then petulant adolescents are reaching maturity, so they will be a great army as and when she gets to control them. Jorah and Dario edging closer to her, but how effective do you think they're going to be, Mark?
It's, it seems unlikely against the Dothraki hordes that that those two would have any great impact, but you never know.
Remind me who's who. Who's the one who's got the bad acne on?
Jorah's got grayscale, and the other one looks like an eau de cologne.
He's also got incredible eyesight. I don't know if you've ever lost anything in grass, but I lost 50p once. It took me a day to find it. He's in a field, he finds an earring in like 3 seconds. He's got some eyes on him.
He may have wrist acne, but he's got the eyes of a sparrow horse. That's the thing about him. We saw, obviously, Tyrion and Varys ruling Meereen in Daenerys' absence. A lot of running around in flip-flops.
Yeah.
It felt a bit chaotic for me.
I'm all for it. I love a flip-flop. But I love those two together because it's such a great partnership. You know, they're the two smartest people in the whole show. We know that. And they're the ones, actually, who I think have the better chance of surviving than anyone else. Although I strongly suspect at least one of them won't. I've got a feeling that one of them... I think I know. Do you want me to say my theory?
Oh, either way, it'll break me.
Okay, well, I think Varys will wind up sacrificing himself for Tyrion. I think that's what's going to happen, because I can't see them both making it through to the end. And Varys, who's always acted only for himself, or mainly for himself, I think we're going to see an actor great. I don't know why I've got this feeling. Melisandre told me, and we believe everything she sees in the flank, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Was this pre-jewellery, Melisandre, or post-jewellery?
I'd get them both so mixed up. As I said, I'm happy with either of them.
Yeah, it's good.
We just turn the dimmer down for one. Put a bit of Prince on, turn the dimmer down, it's fine.
Listen, it's coming for all of us, you know. I think embrace it now. I absolutely embrace it now. Do you think... I mean, that's not a bad theory, that the self-interested man, the political kind of man, will give...
Because they're so close now, and he's actually looked after him, and I think they've grown to respect each other so much. And they see the same thing, but I think ultimately Varys knows that Tyrion has what it takes to lead, whereas Varys never will.
And maybe the combination of Tyrion and Daenerys is the only one that could provide stability post-Robert. I mean, obviously, if Robert were there...
I know, it's going to be Daenerys and Jon Snow. Come on, that's what's going to happen at the end. Come on.
Who knows?
That's what's going to happen, surely.
Well, she's a survivor. She'll make it through, whatever. You had a crack at getting rid of her, didn't you, in season one? You ordered her assassination and then changed your mind at the last minute.
Well, I mean, I think Robert certainly saw the Dothraki as a huge threat. And nobody listened to him because he was drunk most of the time. But he spoke. He was a good battlefield tactician, and he saw the threat and he warned against it. But as I say, no, if only they'd have listened.
Why did you change your mind? Why did Robert change his mind on his deathbed, do you think, and reverse the order?
Was he drunk?
I always thought he was slightly drunk. I always thought that. It was because he was leaving it to... he knew the Lannisters would have to deal with it.
Oh, so it was his passing gift.
So it was his...
Mop up that. I like that.
There you go.
Robert Baratheon, of course, had many, many wonderful qualities, but I think we underestimated what a great romantic he was. So I'd like to now celebrate that incredibly special side of him.
Put work aside and carve out some time for love.
I'm trying to get you to run my kingdom while I eat, drink, and haul my way to an early grave. Feels good.
Don't string them along if you're not ready to commit.
Back in our day, you weren't a real man until you'd fucked one girl from each of the 7 kingdoms and the Riverlands. We used to call it making the 8.
Those were some lucky girls.
Yeah.
Give honest feedback if a blind date goes wrong.
Your mother was a dumb whore with a fat arse. Did you know that?
Except that teenagers will engage in some heavy petting.
You remember me at 16? All I wanted to do was crack skulls and fuck girls. Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, do stay on good terms with your exes.
Bessie. Thank the gods for Bessie. And her tits.
Absolutely. Mr. Lover.
Not dead.
Game of Thrones, of course, a show not shy of killing off characters. You were the first main character to die, but we wondered who the fans thought was going to face the chop this series. So let's have a quick look at who you at home voted for. Here's the Deadpool. Ooh, with Roose and Ramsay way up there. Walder Frey as payback, presumably for the Red Wedding, going down to Jaime Lannister in 5th place. But we have also had a tweet in. The first flack says, please, no more deaths. Can't we all just get along? To which I would say, you've been watching the wrong show. This is not Watercolour Challenge.
No, it's your fault, because they think they're watching Bake Off, and they're just amazed at the bloodshed.
We need a few more beheadings on Bake Off to really... I don't... No spoilers, though.
We'll start with Paul.
Yes, stop now, stop. I think we've got some questions in the audience, I believe. Oh, hands up, marvellous. Now, where's Kimberly? Are you Kimberly, my
Yes,
love?
hello.
Now, Kimberly, you were also our audience member who was the only one to believe that Jon Snow would not be coming back.
Yeah, I think I finally got over it. I think he's gone, defo.
So what's your question, my love?
It's to Mac. What was your favourite scene to film when you were still alive?
Well, there's a scene that doesn't appear in the books, but it's the only time Robert and Cersei actually speak, and I think that it was a late addition because David and Dan realised that all I'd said to her at that point was "quiet, woman," and it was, you know, we needed to know a little bit more about their history, so they wrote a 7-page scene which they then presented me with that morning and said, after you finished in the forest, we're gonna go back and shoot this. Oh, right, I'll try and learn it. But it was a cracking scene, just a two-hander between me and Lena. And it was just great to do, the only time they speak, so...
7 pages that morning, you're a trooper, sir. Now, time for the part of the show I like to call Shit the Bed. Here's what's coming up in the next episode. Aren't you, Mr. and Mrs. Lucky? Bring it on.
Get out of my way.
King's orders, Your Grace.
You don't know which way she went.
I spent 3 days looking for her. She disappeared. We know where she's going. Castle Black isn't defended on the southern side. We could storm the castle.
You would spill blood in this holy place.
Well, the gods spill more blood than the rest of us combined.
Episode will probably be longer than that. It leaves me just enough time to thank our guests, Jonathan Ross and Mark Addy. See you next week for more Game of Thrones antics, analysis and general violence. Guys, you probably don't want to see this. Good night.